Well, this video has been making the rounds around the internet, and thought that I would kind of chime into some of these very interesting thoughts. Let's just jump right into it.
First claim is Donald Trump is pro-crime and pro-criminal. Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Mehdi.
I would just like to ask, what makes someone pro-crime versus, anti-crime?
Well, let me give my thoughts first. So Mehdi Hasan's claim is that Trump is pro-crime, pro-criminal. I think that that's pretty indisputable, but I also think that it's pretty indisputable that every U.S. president for the last, well, I could confidently say, let's just say, throughout the 20th century. Um, Also, the ends of the 19th century. But that's kind of the entire scope of my interest in what U.S. politics and geopolitics and foreign relations and foreign policy really is. So I can't really say if it extends past that. There's probably a good chance that it is, or that it does. But yeah, definitely, every single one is pro-crime. They, uh, I mean, whether we want to talk about domestic crime or international crime, um, both would still qualify the president's policies as being pro-crime if we look at the entirety of American history up to, let's just say, since the 1880s. So yeah, I mean that's pretty indisputable. Whether or not Trump is more so pro-crime than anybody else, I don't know. Let's see. What are they going to talk about here?
I think when you're soft on criminals, when you let criminals out of prison, when you pardon people who've assaulted police officers, you're pro-criminal. Donald Trump pardoned almost 1,600 people who were involved in January the 6th. I think 600 of them had been charged with assaulting a police officer or obstructing a police officer. 170 had pled guilty to assaulting a police officer. 70 had pled guilty to assault with a deadly weapon. J.D. Vance said, we're not going to pardon the violent criminals from January 6th. Donald Trump pardoned all of them. Are you okay with that?
I would say January 6th is a very special case. I would say it's almost a climax point in history. I would just phrase the question this way. Right now in the LA protests, if they were to, just for example, they were to rush the capital of LA, I mean, they'd have to move over all the homeless people living in.
Okay, he was about to give a really good burn right there, but you can watch it on your own time. They'd have to move all of the homeless people because liberal states or blue states are just always pro homeless people, scattering them all over the place. I mean, I don't know that any one party is particularly better on helping the underserved than another party. Both of them are absolutely corrupt, fascistic parties. But I mean, this kind of perspective of arguing of saying, oh, okay, well, if we're going to say January 6th was a crime, then don't you think other riot and protests are crimes as well? Okay, I mean, just use two brain cells. One, being wrong doesn't make the other impossible to be wrong as well. If you want to make the argument that all protest, all riot, all uh, civil disobedience, or even public destruction of property to protest fascistic, illegal acts by government should be banned, then sure. I mean, I'll, I'll, I'll accept that. I don't care. You do you. Uh, if Trump allows January 6th people to get away with whatever they want to do, then yeah, he should probably also have the right to crack down on LA protesters or LA rioters. The inverse is also true. If we don't think that January 6th protesters were particularly wrong, which clearly this guy thinks that there was nothing wrong with what they did, then by the same token, yeah, LA protests and riots perfectly justified, but I don't think that he has the mental clarity or consistency to agree with that or to extend the same moral consistency across the board, regardless of whether he agrees with the point of view of the protesters or not. So this is again just stupid. Like, I mean, I don't 70 IQ.
Like we have many testimonies that say.
What about the violent ones, though?
Okay, violent ones like
Like a man named David Dempsey, a judge, a Reagan-appointed judge, sentenced to 20 years in prison. He stomped on police officers' heads. The judge said his conduct was exceptionally egregious. He attacked police officers with flagpoles and pepper spray. Donald Trump pardoned him. There's a man named Daniel Rodriguez. He got 12 years in prison for taking a stun gun and tasing a police officer in the neck and giving him a heart attack. The judge said he was a one-man army of hate. Donald Trump pardoned him. Does that not make Trump pro-criminal?
Okay, so I mean, a pretty salient point here. You have these January 6th rioters or whatever that were recorded as being violent protesters, destructive protesters, criminally assaulted, injured, and I think killed some police officers. But I'm not even going to look into that. You can look it up on your own time. Pretty sure that's true, but regardless of whether that particular point is true or not, it doesn't really discredit the point that I'm making. That, of course, these retarded progressives, or sorry, conservatives, they're just like, oh, thin blue line. I support the blue. I back the blue. Back the blue. Um, unless the people who are beating on the blue happen to be rednecks. So, you know, it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But no, these people do not have, again, the mental clarity or consistency to see that. It's just, oh well, if the blue was on my side, then yeah, hell yeah, I'm going back the blue. But if the blue ain't on my side, then fuck the blue. You guys are fucking retarded. Just okay, carry on.
Donald Trump pardoned him. Does that not make Trump pro-criminal? He's letting violent criminals out of prison.
I would say no, it doesn't make him pro-criminal.
You're okay with that?
I did not say that. I said that one pardon agaget somebody.
It was 1,600 pardons. 600 of those were people charged
one
with...
example that you just gave me.
I can give you more. Just
okay, fine. And I'll say the exact same thing every single
then
time.
Your argument will fall.
They're so stupid. This is so stupid. That's just a single example. That's just one example of a pardon that shouldn't have happened. No, there's 1,600 other pardons. I'll just keep saying the same thing over and over again. Oh, okay, so like number one is just like one example, but number two is just another example, but number three is also just another example. It would be hilarious. I would love for him to go through each 1,600 and just be like, but that's just one. And then that's just another isolated one. And then that's just a third isolated one. A 17th isolated one. Like, how stupid are these people? I'm going to downgrade my initial rating. It's not 70 IQ. This is 63 IQ. Carry on.
Let's talk about non-January 6 people.
Okay.
He's pardoned people like Paul Wolchak recently, who took millions of dollars from his own employees, was sentenced to tax crimes, had to pay back $4 million. Trump pardoned him. He bought himself a $2 million yacht. Why is he pardoning criminals like that?
Well, I don't know. I don't think you should. I don't think really presidential pardon should be a thing at all. But I
agree.
Okay, this is so funny. So also, I mean, of course, you guys have probably watched this and understand how this goes, but this entire ring, this KKK ring right here, they each have like red flags, and if the majority raises their red flags, this red flag marker or like a meter here goes up until it reaches the majority, and then this guy is voted out. Honestly, this guy's retarded, but so clearly the rest of his clan members were like, "Nah, you're letting down the side, so we need to get you out of there. You're getting destroyed a little bit, son." But I mean, this is just the easiest, simplest point. If you pardon criminals, then you are pro-criminal. Has he pardoned criminals? Yes. Does that make him pro-criminal? Yes. And it isn't just January 6th people where it's a divisive, I mean, supposedly divisive. I can understand the divisiveness of that take of protesters rioting. Of course, I still remember what the feeling of January 6th was, and it really felt like, oh shit, this is going to be potentially the beginning of a civil war where you don't know who is entering into the White House, you don't know, or the Capitol building or whatever it was. You don't know how The police force is going to respond to this. This could escalate very quickly, turn into maybe a Waco situation or just some kind of, I don't know, some kind of shit. So it really felt like this is a big step towards the degradation of democracy, which, it's, of course, it's very foolish to even think that we live in a democracy, but that's the, the talking point. That's July 4th of July tells you that we live in a here democracy, and pew pew Merca. Fireworks and fireworks. Beer koozie fireworks. But um yeah, I mean, and again, this is I'm pretty sure that this was probably filmed before the Epstein debacle that we're currently in, where he has clearly voiced, no issues with Epstein. He has pretty much just short of absolved him of all crimes and allegations. Um, I mean, if you follow the logic of the discourse, the regime's discourse around Epstein and the list, then and you take it to its logical conclusion, then you would have to say that Ghislaine Maxwell is also completely. I mean, she's being falsely incarcerated at this point in time. So, and I mean, everybody knows that that is the most ridiculous, preposterous thing in the world. And then, of course, aside from that, Trump's support of Benjamin Milikowski, otherwise known as Benjamin Netanyahu, who is I don't know if he's a convicted, but he is definitely an indicted war criminal, um, on the run, um, publicly known that he is now wanted by the ICC or the ICJ, uh, for prosecution for war crimes. So, yeah, I mean, if he aids him, then that's also the aiding of a criminal, which I think is so much stronger a point than January 6th or any tax dispute or whatever it is. I mean, you have literally the the shards of flesh and blood of children draped all over yourself as uh, the president of the United States, um, empowering and enabling a genocide. So, I mean, without a doubt, he is a war criminal. Trump is also a war criminal, and he is pro-crime. Honestly, this guy's stupid. I kind of am bored with this particular topic. Mehdi Hasan gave them like 4 or 5 different takes that they each had to debate him on. So let's take a look at this. Okay, I just kept watching forward a little bit just on this same prompt about is Donald Trump pro-crime. Um, And I mean, let's just my final thoughts on this. It's very clear that these people's stance is that even if he is pro crime, I don't mind that, or he is pro crime and I don't mind the crimes that he is enabling or empowering. And I mean, that's fine. If you guys want that, that's perfectly fine. I mean, today you don't care. I mean, this guy just said, why are we still talking about January 6th? I don't think it's relevant anymore. Trump is a very smart guy. I have to give him credit. He's an extremely smart guy. He knows his voter base. He knows that they all have IQs um, below like 60. So, which I think might be clinically, in any case. Um, point being that uh, he knew that this is a totally acceptable tact to take with the Epstein business. Why are we still talking about people genuinely don't care? People, I mean, it's purely for political reasons that people are kind of latching onto this whole Epstein thing is just to feel that I mean it's more a principled stance against like the application of law. They don't care that the children are being trafficked and humans are being trafficked and it's not really a conspiracy, but black male rings exist against the largest political figures and leaders in this country, the only issue that they have is that they don't get to do it too. That's the only thing, is that they aren't allowed to break the law in whatever way they want to break the law. And as a result, some people are still being a little bit indignant about this Epstein thing. But do they actually care about the crimes that were committed or the prosecution thereof, and the accountability that needs to be assessed and assigned to our government's leaders? Of course not. They don't care. It's purely just that they don't get to commit crimes too. Okay, let's just move on to the next prompt.
Said that Elon Musk had no access to the Epstein files. So Kash Patel said that Epstein killed himself. Do you agree with that? Whatever he says goes then. Yeah, I don't care.
You do?
He knows more information than I do.
A lot of MAGA people are upset.
He knows more
Kash Patel
information than I do.
said
But
Okay, the mental is sorry. This was the last one, the pro crime whatever. These are the same people that are like, oh, crooked Hillary, crooked, is stupid and dumb, and they're all corrupt. Release the Clinton emails, and then here, Mehdi Hasan is just telling him like, okay, well, Kash Patel just said that Epstein killed himself. There was no list. He was really depressed. He didn't like his living accommodations at the jail, and he was just really blue, and that's why he hung himself. Do you believe that? And this guy suddenly now is pro government, pro, listen to our leadership, pro, what they say goes. He was like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess if that's what he said, then yeah, we'll have to take it as gospel. I mean, who am I to, I'm sure that Kash Patel is smarter than I am. I mean, yeah, sure, the great leaders, great opinions, great takes, blah, blah, blah. Another downgrade, 48 IQ. Okay, guys, this is the really good one. Just this guy really, he's at the talk of the town. Let's listen.
my next claim is that Donald Trump is defying the Constitution.
Nice pleasure to meet you, sir.
Mehdi, lovely to meet you.
So I would say that with Trump,
I don't know why, but all these guys are real fucking weirdos. Like, I mean, these are the people that, you'd run into at, I don't know, maybe community college, and they're all just fucking unhinged and really fucking weird, and it's just like, they just make you, just the way their face is and the way their mannerisms are, like, just, I can't, whatever. Let's not be too, whatever. They're just all real weirdos, but let's go for it.
Trump being anti-constitution, I don't really care, to be quite frank.
Okay.
Because in regards to the Constitution is a document.
He's so happy. Did you guys see that smile on his face? He was just like, guys, thank you. Oh my God, I was so happy. Wait. Let's look at that one more time.
In regards to the Constitution is a document that should seek to serve us. And when it fails to seek to serve us, that can be amended. Laws can be changed. And quite frankly, the fact is, we're defending things. So I would say that with Trump being anti-constitution, I don't really care, to be quite frank.
Okay.
Because in regards
Did you see his face? He was like, yeah, I said that, guys. I said myself, yes, Mom. In any case, carry on.
quite frankly, the fact is, we're defending things in this country that shouldn't be defended. The First Amendment should not defend pornography and making children and women be victimized, making women and children.
That guy with the slow, loud clap. Oh man, he has jacked it more than anybody else in this room. But it's fine. Carry on.
Be victimized as a result of that. I think things like blasphemy shouldn't be allowed per the First Amendment. I think that, quite frankly, there are a lot of legal.
This guy, this guy right here, this face. So homeboy just said that blasphemy should not be. You should not be allowed to blaspheme underneath the auspices of the Constitution. You should. And this guy right here, wearing the cross, but he was like, "Damn, dog, I guess like sound off, bro." Go for it. Yo, I mean, we'll go with that. Dude, these people are fucking unhinged. So you should not um protect the the First Amendment should not protect pornography, which I don't really know that that's the law that allows, or I don't really think, whatever, we'll just carry on. I don't really think that that has anything to do with First Amendment, but whatever. Um, and blasphemy. So what's up? So if I say, oh god damn it, like, should I go to jail if I'm wrenching on my car and I slam my finger against a bolt, um, and I yell out, Jesus fucking Christ, should I go to jail? I mean, probably in this man's under his uh theocratic regime, I should definitely go to jail, and I agree.
You're saying you don't care about the Constitution, but actually you do because you quite like the Second Amendment. You just don't like the bits that you disagree with. Can I just be clear on
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Okay.
I'm more than willing to amend it and include
Whenever
the
it's in your
Second
favor.
Amendment. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So can Democrats do the same when they're in office?
No, absolutely not.
So
Because
you
it's
don't
the
believe in
friend
democracy?
enemy.
Guys, this has to be a sketch. This cannot be for real. Who has such an emotive face? I mean, while Mehdi Hasan is like listing off the things that can be just authoritatively or authoritarianly, whatever, you guys know what I'm trying to say, illegally uh appended from the Constitution that favor this soy boy's views. He's just so happy. You can see the glee on his face. He's just like, oh my god, a world without blasphemy? Yes! Oh my god, a world where just everybody is gonna just stay at home with their mom and just live in their basement? Yes! And then Mahdi Hassan is like, okay, well, for the sake of moral consistency, um, like, obviously, if you have a conservative in power and he just, you know, plays surgery with the Constitution, and then the term after that, you have a Democrat in office, and then the Democrat decides to force everybody to be trans, and oh my God, the face that he made, he was just like, no, no, that's no, I want to play with my toys. That's not what I wanted. It's just so funny. This has to be a sketch. Nobody is actually like this in real life. Okay, I want you to really focus on this portion because this is the nugget of gold. This is the portion that I was really invested in reacting and commenting on. So let's just pay attention here.
Aristocratic class could be someone
No, but who
who,
picks the autocrat?
frankly, the people. I mean, we could hold a vote on it. Kings
So
were
isn't that democracy?
Well, sure. You can have a vote to get to that
And
state.
then no more votes afterwards?
Absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
Wow. And if that autocrat kills you and your family, you're fine with that?
Well, I'm not going to be a part of the group that he kills because
How do
that's
you
the
know?
whole thing.
How do you
Well,
know?
Carl Schmitt
Autocrats
makes,
tend to kill everyone,
Carl
even their own
Schmitt makes this
supporters.
point very well in
Okay. This is probably going to be the portion that I spend the most time commenting on. So, of course, this soy boy right here, I'd probably say no older than, I don't know. Let's just say, let's give him 30. He's 30 years old. Round about the same age as I am. Hmm. He has never really dealt with the fallout of dictatorship, of authoritarian regime, autocracies. And I mean, conceptually, I can understand where he's coming from. It's just basic tribalism. He is fine with somebody that looks like him ruling over him. So anybody that agrees with him is going to instate laws that are going to be similar to the moral code that this guy supposedly stands for. I mean, I'm listen, I don't subscribe at all to this don't make assumptions about people. I'm going to make assumptions. Okay? Clean cut white boy here with the pressed slacks and the button down shirt, the coiffed hair. Um, You know, honestly, I would be surprised. It seems like kind of a theater kid. He gives theater kid energies. But, I mean, it's very possible that he may not have really experienced, and geez, I really don't want to go into this progressive language dictionary right here, but otherization. It is very possible that he has never experienced being the other, being the outsider. And the thing that he doesn't understand is that everybody is an outsider to somebody else. Regardless of how big your group is, there is going to be another group that sees you as the fucked up one. Now, whether that group happens to be more conservative or less conservative than this guy, okay, there is an inevitability that he is not an accurate representation of even the American mean or the American average. There are going to I've been all over the world, and I can tell you, I have met people that would frankly destroy this guy in terms of conservatism. They would look at him and they say, well, I mean, let's be frank. Everybody knows someone that would look at this guy and be like, okay, I don't care that he is Catholic, whatever. That guy looks like a fag. Okay? And I don't like fags and pussies. Um, and honestly, he's a little bitch boy, and we should kill him. The fact that he's Catholic isn't going to save him from that. Um, and that is that he could be targeted by groups much more conservative than he is. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to find that he is extremely white supremacist. I mean, he's definitely white supremacist, but like I'm talking KKK levels. I just look at this guy and I don't see a guy that he talks a lot of talk, but would he be able to stomach watching a child be lynched and lit on fire in the family's front yard? Because there are people that have wanted that and do want that. Definitely. There are still definitely people that still want that in 2025, 21st century America. So, I mean, what if he becomes the soy boy, progressive liberal cuck to another group? What protects him from that? That's the thing that people don't understand is that there is always going to be somebody more progressive than you and somebody that's going to be much more conservative than you on both sides, much more liberal, much more conservative. And to try and shoehorn a governmental situation where it is only a reflection of one group of people, you are likely alienating the vast majority of other people. Frankly, okay, how many people that you know, regardless of how conservative you are or you aren't, okay, would be completely for a total porn ban? There's a reason why the porn industry is as lucrative and wealthy as it is, because it has tremendous, tremendous demand. Uh, blasphemy. I mean, how many Americans do you know would be in favor of this puritanical style of authoritarian regime? I mean, as it is, um, opiate addiction, opiate consumption is at staggering levels. The uh, nationwide consumption of alcohol, extremely high. Uh, the legalization of marijuana is only trending upwards. Uh, there is much, much, much more evidence that America is a liberal, um, fun-seeking, thrill-seeking, entertainment-seeking, pleasure-seeking community than there is any evidence of it being this puritanical state. So, I mean, I'm sure he lives in an echo chamber where he feels like he is the perfect embodiment of what America is or should be. Okay. But the reality is that there would be so much dissent against that, regardless of what people are going to spout off in an hour-long debate saying that, oh, okay, well, let's ban porn. Okay, well, if you ban porn, then should we also ban promiscuity? Should we ban women's rights to dress however they want to dress? Should we ban images of women in public? Should we ban um, intermixing of genders? Should we segregate boys and girls in school? Should we ban dating? I'm fine with all of that. I don't care. This is not my country. I could give a rat's ass what happens in America. But it sounds an awful lot like Sharia law, which, I mean, you guys are so against. Why are you guys so against the Sharia law? I mean, that's exactly what they want. And that's, again, perfectly fine by me. I am not expressing any support or condemnation of this point of view. But if you decide to pursue an authoritarian style of governance, there has never been one example in history where that authoritarianism has not overstepped the boundaries and the vision of those who put it into power. At the end of the day, politicians and bureaucrats do not serve the people. They do not serve their desires. They do not serve their moral visions. They just serve themselves. They serve their financial interests, their power interests. Whatever they can do to usurp power and hegemonize it, they will do. They are politics and bureaucracy are not tools to advance moral improvement or societal cohesion. It is purely about control of demographics and economic centers that benefit an elite class. That's it. So, at the end of the day, if it benefits them to lock you in a cage um, between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. and only let you out to plow the fields, and they feel that they can get away with it, they will. So this idiocy of thinking that, oh, I'm not going to be part of the group that they want to kill. Sure, you won't be until you are. Until um you have, just as an example, Netanyahu. He has always been conservative, right wing within Israel, but if you study what happened in Israel, okay, he saw his popularity and power waning, so he latched onto an even further right, extreme far right political group that he was not necessarily ideologically aligned with, but realized the power of potentially aligning with them. And now you see what's happening. He is on a bloodlust that is tanking the entire country and his political party. there is no doubt in my mind that what is happening right now in Israel will be the cause of its demise. Because there is no way that justice can be served with an iron-fisted, extremist, uh, religiously motivated agenda, because that inherently uh, discludes, includes, discludes. Sometimes I get so into the words I kind of lose. It inherently, I mean, you guys get what I'm saying. It discludes all or the majority of the societal demographic, and inevitably, it's going to result in popular uprising and popular loss of support. And once you've gone all in on the right wing, the only direction that you can go is further and further and further right wing. And where is the evidence of that? Everybody that understands Israeli politics understands that Netanyahu, if he were to, uh, relinquish power, he has in his sights um, the ambition of inheriting or passing on his role to his son, who is way more fundamentally and ideologically committed to far right. Yair, whatever the fuck his name is, fucking Milikowski, piece of shit. So, I mean, there's only one way to go. You can't undo uh extreme far right. You're only going to have to go further and further far right until there's going to be a point at which this guy isn't going to be able to look at a female. He's not going to be able to speak to her. He's going to be locked up for um, having a haircut that is not allowed. um, if he wears too seductive of a perfume in public or cologne in public, he will be imprisoned by morality police. And again, I am not for or against any of these things, but understand that's where you're going, and then you can make an informed decision. Is that what you want? If you want it, more power to you. But I don't think that I mean, definitely, there's no chance that this guy has mentally really grappled and analyzed the direction in which his thought process inevitably leads you. So, I mean, that's really all there is to it.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am. Absolutely.
I'm just checking who's clapping just to get my.
Again, I mean, this guy's just an absolute caricature, but be that as it may, the reality is that he doesn't understand what fascism is. Fascism is not, and I mean, definitely, the progressive left has a huge, culpability and burden on people acting this way and being this way. Um, when you were told that having strong, either religious or moral opinions makes you a fascist, then yeah, um, you label yourself a fascist. If you were told that, you know, disagreeing with 78 genders and, you know, life is a spectrum of whatever the fuck, and, love is love, it doesn't matter if it's your dog or your sister or your mother or, you know, the treasure trove that is TLC network, and all of the craziness that we watch, and Of course, the stain on humanity that was the Maury Povich show, uh, and watching 17 men fight over one large unemployed white woman with 18 kids, and they're all doing crip walks and the Dougie, and you dislike that, makes you a fascist, then yeah, a lot of these kids are going to identify as fascists. But what they don't understand about fascism is that it's so much more than that. Oh, it's a treasure trove. It's a field day for them. They can have so much more fun if they really understood the beauty of fascism. Fascism is going to your job and getting paid $1 um, per day for backbreaking, excruciating work, um, 10-hour work days, seeing some corrupt son of some military general get paid 3,000 times more for sitting in an air-conditioned office barking orders, and then having to stand up and salute the flag during your 5 minutes of lunch and sing about how great the I'll grab a word from this guy because you guys have all seen it. The benevolent leader, how great the benevolent leader is, and how he has nothing in his heart but love and respect and pure intentions for uh, you and your family. While you're getting all of this propaganda, you're also experiencing extreme pain, hunger, um, exhaustion, no prospect of improvement. And then, if you dare to go home and even speak to your wife and say, something, this job just it doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm getting burnt into the ground. My kids are all working, they are not getting an education. The the general's son seems to be doing just fine, and actually I heard that they're going out on vacation. Um, you wake up at 2 in the morning with somebody slamming their fists on your door, knocking it down, and dragging you to some concentration work camp for treasonous rhetoric and behavior against the supreme leader. And you found out that your wife sold you out. Not necessarily because she wanted anything, because she genuinely felt concerned that you were betraying the benevolent father. Um, that was your neighbor. That was your neighbor's story. Your story is, oh God, okay, well, now that I know that, I know I can't fucking speak a single peep. So I'm just going to have to sit in subjugation and in complete silence, um, working my ass off with no potential future for my kids or my grandkids. Uh, and then, of course, you've got, um, what was it, 1984. So, and again, I am not against any of that. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. Just know that one day you will be standing in a sweatshop with no OSHA regulations, nothing protecting your worker rights, all because the benevolent leader has made the decision that if he can reduce production costs of minerals and natural resource extraction from the country by 75% by gutting the labor force's expenditure and costs for safety and decent working conditions and decent working hours, if they can get away with doing all of that, they reduce the cost by 75% so that they can go sell your minerals, your country's minerals, to the highest bidder, also that they can line their bank accounts with the money of your hard-earned or your hard work and sweat and toil. If that's what you want, that's fine. That's perfect. I am for people having whatever they want to be happy. But I don't think that people understand that that's where fascism leads you. And that's perfectly fine. Just be ready for it. Okay, I just kept watching forward a little bit just on this same prompt about is Donald Trump pro-crime. Um, and I mean, let's just my final thoughts on this. It's very clear that these people's stance is that even if he is pro-crime, I don't mind that, or he is pro-crime and I don't mind the crimes that he is enabling or empowering. And I mean, that's fine. If you guys want that, that's perfectly fine. I mean, today you don't care. I mean, this guy just said, why are we still talking about January 6th? I don't think it's relevant anymore. Trump is a very smart guy. I have to give him credit. He's an extremely smart guy. He knows his voter base. He knows that they all have IQs um, below like 60. So, which I think might be clinically. In any case, um, point being that uh, he knew that this is a totally acceptable tact to take with the Epstein business. Why are we still talking about people genuinely don't care? People, I mean, it's purely for political reasons that people are kind of latching onto this whole Epstein thing is just to feel that I mean it's more a principled stance against like the application of law. They don't care that the children are being trafficked and humans are being trafficked and it's not really a conspiracy, but blackmail rings exist against the largest political figures and leaders in this country. The only issue that they have is that they don't get to do it too. That's the only thing, is that they aren't allowed to break the law in whatever way they want to break the law. And as a result, some people are still being a little bit indignant about this Epstein thing. But do they actually care about the crimes that were committed or the prosecution thereof, and the accountability that needs to be assessed and assigned to our government's leaders? Of course not. They don't care. It's purely just that they don't get to commit crimes too. Okay, let's just move on to the next prompt.
Is that immigrants overall are good for America. Hi, how are you?
Oh, nice to meet you.
I spent a lot of time on the last point, but only with one guy, which, he was one of, I think, three or four that were discussing the Constitution or whatever. In any case, moving right on to the immigration topic, which I think is a very, very important and good topic.
Years now, and it has dramatically affected Americans here in the country, which
Positively, I would argue.
People like me and everyone around here, we cannot find homes or even get jobs within our own field that we go to college for, that we get into debt for. And because more blue-collar work, especially in construction, agriculture, and so forth, and the hospitality industry, we cannot get jobs in those fields. So it requires
Are you looking for a
us-
job in construction
I
or
am not.
agriculture?
No, I went
Just
to
joking.
college.
Okay.
Many people here are in college or went to college, but we can't even find jobs in our fields. Also,
Okay, so I'll summarize kind of a bit before I started screen recording, and I'll kind of give you the synopsis of what's coming up after that. So, of course, she kicks off with, are you an immigrant, or why do you care about immigration? You're not even American. He's like, no, I'm American. I was naturalized or whatever. He got his citizenship. And she's like, okay, but you're not an immigrant. You're an American, or you are, but no. In any case, she has no idea what she wants to say. I understand what she's trying to say. She's trying to say, um, immigrants who have not yet been naturalized, that are in the process of naturalization, or completely, as they call it, illegal immigrants. And of course, she just basically, she just wants to put up the walls and put up the borders and not let anybody in, which, again, I'm not for immigration or undocumented immigration or unregulated immigration. I'm also not against it. I don't care. But just for the sake of moral consistency, let's just get an understanding of what she was getting into. Oh, this is bad for Americans. We can't afford homes. We can't find jobs. Do you think that has so do you think I'm just going to lean right into the stereotypes that you're already perpetuating, and do you think that little Juan Manuel uh, Di Maria Santos, and little Abdullah, and Mr. Kwame and Sunday, uh, Gift, Happiness, they've got some interesting names, Nigerians. They're very Christian and very happy, like glad names. In any case, do you think that these are the people that are really the mechanisms of the deterioration of the American middle class? Do you think that Juan Manuel is outbidding you for homes? Do you think that Juan Manuel is any better a position to afford rent figures that you can't afford? Even if you were to apply, this is just a supply and demand issue, and they're taking up way too much supply, and there is not sufficient demand, or they are taking up way too much supply that is uh, limiting the supply, thus extremely increasing demand, and the demand is being counteracted by increases in price. Is your thesis that there are not enough homes in America? I don't think that that is the case. That's definitely not true. Nor is it true that there is a scarcity of home building materials or land on which to build. But you know what is happening? You have corporate capital, venture capitalists, and real estate tycoons that uh, are just buying up tons of properties, not putting them on the market, not selling them for reasonable rates, um, putting $10,000, $15,000 into the most uh, sloppy renovation after buying it for cents on the dollar from either uh, baby boomers or greatest generation that are dying off, um, and then putting it back on the market for 1.5 times market value, uh, thereby creating some false sense of scarcity in the market. Um, the monopolization of the real estate supply by multiple home owners, people that own multiple homes that are trying to invest uh, as a higher priority to the real estate transaction market than first time home buyers. Do you think any of that is potentially, contributing to your inability to buy a home? Do you think so? Do you think that after the great, what was it called? Uh, uh, the great resignation after the 2020 COVID pandemic, where people realized that working 60-hour weeks for minimum wage is not the move, and they're prioritizing, not even prioritizing to a ridiculous extent beyond reasonable measure their time or their free time or their entertainment or their desire to basically indulge in recreation to simply correct this work until you drop dead culture. And of course, the economic market creates a desire for businesses to try and decrease their labor costs to such a rate that corporate America has forced upon the people the greatest wage stagnation in, I don't know, what, 30, 40, 50 years. How much has inflation taken a chunk out of uh, the, uh, the the buying power of your already stagnant wages? So if you've seen basically 0 to 5% growth in your probably already unremarkable wage over the last 5 years, but also the dollar has seen 30% inflation over the past 5 years, that means that you're you're making less than you were making 5 years ago. Do you think that that has anything to do with, um, or no? Do you think that this is just immigration? It's just immigration. BlackRock, that's not a thing. Um, the banning of unionization in uh, tons of industries and under tons of employers, that's not a thing. The fact that um, the the predatory um, practice of price gouging. So, I mean, everybody is aware of how expensive eggs have been. Oh my God, eggs. Do we realize that there are only so many things that affect pricing? Supply and demand. That's pretty much it. So, if, you know, there have been global factors that have influenced supply or demand, that's going to reflect in pricing. Now, has there been any huge increase in human population or our appetite for eggs over the past 2, 3 years? No, nothing's been published about. Geez, Americans are just, or Americans or the world really likes eggs all of a sudden. We've seen a 200% increase in people eating eggs in the morning. That's not the case. So if it isn't the demand, is the supply. Okay, so let's look on the supply side. Are we saying that there has suddenly been a massive degradation in the supply of eggs? Yes, yes, there has. What is that? Some chicken egg pen epidemic, bird flu, whatever. Um, and they've been blaming that on, or they've been blaming the rise in egg prices on that for about a year and a half. Now, prior to this, I would probably be safe to say that the national average for a dozen eggs was about 70 cents. It is now a national average of God knows how much. What, 250, 270? That is nearly a 4 times increase. So are we saying that basically the production of eggs has taken a 75% hit, or the cost of fuel, or the cost of materials? I mean, there haven't been any major. I mean, the Ukraine war has been going on for several years now. So it predates as a market, as an economic impact. we've already adjusted for that in terms of fuel costs. Basically, the upshot that I'm getting at here, without going into excruciating detail, which I've already kind of done, so sorry about that, but it is not um, natural. It is not due to any supply or demand issues that is causing the pricing of eggs to remain at this extreme high. They saw that people were willing to some extent to pay 4.70, 5.70, 5.50 for a carton of eggs. So what incentivizes them to bring it back down to 70 cents? Nothing incentivizes them. If they just keep them at those same rates and people seem to be willing to pay for that, okay, sounds good. There's no. So again, just predatory, monopolistic business practices, unfair wages, um, basically no regulation of residential housing and its associated uh, real estate market. Did we already say wage stagnation? Did we already say that? I mean, the fact that we're allowing companies to send jobs overseas, it's not about the people here that are taking the jobs. You send jobs overseas because you allow them to do so without any uh, cost burden, also makes it so that they are incentivized to try to eke out the maximum profit possible. And of course, the inherent capitalistic tendencies to never be willing to touch the top line or the bottom line of revenue for a company. They're never going to take a downsize in their CEO salary, their bonuses, their board members, their this, that, and the other. It's always increased cost is always passed on to the consumer. It is never, almost never, either partially or completely absorbed by the business owners. So, I mean, these are the things they're just riling you up, and it's been successful. It's been extremely successful. And I was actually kind of like on the immigration control, immigration reform side, because I was like, okay, well, you know what? Um, this is just, the people that are standing for this are standing for, I don't know what you would call it, but let's just call it legal absolutism. That all of our laws should be uh, uh, practiced and upheld all the time. All the laws, all the time. And I thought that they were going to be like, okay, well, we're going to do all of the immigrants all the time. And then all of the tax evaders all the time. And all of the pedophiles all the time. All the sex traffickers all the time. All the lobbyists all the time. So I thought that it was an opportunity for moral consistency. Fine. You know what? You want to prosecute in some way or deport undocumented immigrants because that's what the letter of the law states? Sure. Let's do that. And then let's also look at all of these other crimes that are being committed against the American people by the wealthy. And in a moment of moral consistency and moral clarity, let's also prosecute those. But of course, that's not the case. And I feel foolish that I was even hoodwinked for a millisecond into thinking that this was the direction, that it was a direction of moral consistency or legal absolutism. It was just a cynical ploy to rile people up and be like, oh, see, look at those Mexicans. Those are the reason that you're shit out of luck. It's just not the case. It's just not true. There are no facts or statistics that back those claims up. So, I mean, sorry, it's just stupid. But, I think we'll just move on to the next topic, the next point, because all of them are just like, oh well, you know what, you're brown boy. Of course, they're talking to Mehdi Hasan. Brown boy, you shouldn't even be here. Get the fuck out. There was a guy that told him to get the fuck out. Um, you're gone, bro. He told him. Um, all of these things. So you can watch that. I think I've kind of given enough commentary on this topic. This video is going to end up being longer than the debate itself. So okay, so of all the people, this Chad bro right here, who was also just the filthiest piece of shit, made the shittiest comment. Also, is the only person that brought up like one decent point throughout all of these things. Let's listen to it.
Means you shouldn't make these type of assumptions. You said earlier that unemployment.
Do I know what it means? I thought we were doing assumptions.
Okay, hold on. You mentioned we were like at 4.2% unemployment. Yeah, that's counting people who have part-time jobs. That's counting
That's how
poverty
it's always
wages.
been counted.
Yeah, and
I'm against poverty wages.
you
Can we
won't let
agree
me
again?
Yes, if you go to like the Logood Institute, they calculate it a way where it's like functional unemployment. Okay, if you account for things like just people who make around $25,000 a year, people who have fallen out of the labor market, people who only work part-time, if you count all of those people together and then add on the unemployment, that's around 25% of the population. So when you go, we don't have jobs, we don't have people to do this, and that, and the other.
Okay, that was the only salient point that he made, was that real unemployment versus functional and unemployment and underemployment statistics would paint a far less rosy picture than what the Trump administration is trying to brag. 4.2% unemployment. That must be great and amazing. I think that the introduction or the extreme oversaturation of the gig economy, that is Uber driving, Uber Eats driving, part-time this, that, and the other, the barista, a line cook, these part-time roles that have, a person with a degreed person that is working a minimum wage job. I think that the saturation of that has been higher than ever before. Is that backed by statistics? No, I don't have the statistics, but I feel that very strongly, and I'm pretty sure that if I were to spend time looking it up, I would find that born in the data. But that is the point that this guy's making. That sure, 4.2% labor or 4.2% unemployment is not a indicative statistic of what the actual job market is looking like. And again, of course, this doesn't even touch on wage stagnation. So yeah, I mean, I just felt that it was worthwhile to point that out.
That there has to be strict immigration laws.
Okay.
We have to make sure that the people are coming here have the good intent of the United States in mind.
That's not my claim, but okay.
So
my claim is about immigrants are net positive.
If we just open our borders to every single person
No one
that wants
calls
to
for
be
open
here,
borders.
that claims that they have economical hardship in their country.
Who's calling for open borders?
No, I'm just saying,
I mean, it's a straw man, so you're just saying a straw man.
no, I'm saying
You're
that
wasting time with a straw man. No one's
No.
calling.
Again, why are all of these people so cringe? What is this guy wear? What is happening here? Why does he have on the sheriff hat? I'm gonna say that's a sheriff's hat, or that's like a state trooper's hat, and he is looking like I don't know, maybe the V for Vendetta mask come to life. But of course, he's Iranian, and he is one of the illegal immigrants. He's not illegal immigrant. He's just an immigrant. But now, I mean, it's so funny. Actually, some of these people that immigrate, they become some of the most staunchly anti-immigrant in the world. And I mean, listen, I understand why, and I understand the mechanisms of it. It's very difficult to immigrate to the United States. And seeing other people just, waltz over when you had to go through interviews, forms, applications, waiting, processing, all of this stuff, um, proving assets, proving, uh, doing background checks. Sure, just in the same way that it is infuriating that if you're standing in line um, at a restaurant or in a fast food place, and somebody cuts the line, then yeah, you'd get a little annoyed. And I understand that. But the key thing that I really want to touch on about immigration, if we are going to discuss American sovereignty and American borders and American rule of law, then we have to discuss the cause for these influxes of immigrants into the United States. And this is a topic, this is a point where I have not seen this touched on in a single debate across the entire internet. It doesn't matter if it's Dave Smith, Mehdi Hasan, Piers Morgan, the Young Turks. Nobody touches on this point, and it's such low hanging fruit that I don't understand why. If we are to say that America is a land of laws, okay, then can you explain to me how it was justified and right for America to have uh, attempted to topple the Cuban regime with insurrection by fomenting insurrection and sending CIA operatives to try and overthrow the Cuban government and then sanction it to hell, giving it no chance to succeed and just exist autonomously. Okay? It just sovereignly, it was going to exist regardless of whether communist, socialist, whatever it was going to exist autonomously. It had that right. America did not have the right to interfere. America did not have the right to interfere in Mexican elections and the propping up of Mexican cartels to crush populist movements in Mexico that wanted to remove corrupt leaders out of their offices and elect sincere, loyal, and dedicated servants to the Mexican population. What did America do? America propped up the PRI, it propped up Gortari, it completely decimated um, any chance of a prosperous, fair, and just future for Mexican citizens. It uh, propped up the monopoly of Mexican petroleum and natural gas resources, placing all of its profits into the hands of what eventually would become the richest people in the world, um, who would, under the table, use the presence and public threat of cartels to basically, don't know how you would say, pressure the population, the society into submission for fear of uh, killing and murder and drug smuggling and kidnap. Are we going to ignore that? Everybody is born in their country, they live in a country, they want to stay in that country. If the country has the potential to give them a decent, dignified existence with the potential for self determination, safety, and economic growth, and just basic sustenance of basic life and human rights. America has consistently undermined all of those attempts and movements throughout the entire world. It's done that in Iran. It did it in Iraq. It did it in Afghanistan. It did it in Guatemala. It did it in Cuba. It did it in Nicaragua. I genuinely cannot think. It's obviously did it in Argentina. It's doing it in Brazil. There is no country. It's doing it in Russia. Of course, I mean, needless to say, the entire Middle East, Jordan, Egypt, Palestine. Where else? Of course, Sudan. Of course, Libya. Uh, I mean, the list is the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. Genuinely, it would be Pakistan. Genuinely, it would be easier to list off the countries that America did not interfere with whatsoever. And off the top of my head, I cannot think of a single one. I mean, Uganda, uh, Zimbabwe, Liberia, just the legacy of American destruction of other people's countries and installing regimes that were so corrupt, violent, predatory, and vicious is in itself a justification to completely dissolve and disintegrate the US as a country, but certainly its borders and its right to deny other people a slice of what was stolen from them. All of this theft was to enable American wealth, uh, resource monopoly, and uh, political and financial hegemony. So, if America has acted with absolute impunity in every corner of the world, what we should see is retribution and accountability done unto America for the crimes for which it is responsible. But that isn't even what is being seen. What is being seen is the immigration of largely peaceful, largely productive, largely law abiding, and largely loyal to American interest, domestic interest, immigrants that simply could not wait for the process to either allow them entry or provide them asylum in a timeline that was compatible with their safety and their continued existence. I.e., if they waited around, there's a good chance they'd either be so poor or so dead that there would be no future point in time where they could then potentially receive and successfully immigrate to an area where they are just fleeing without any malice, fleeing the results of American corruption, hegemony, and hypocrisy. So, all in all, I think it's pretty fair. I think it's pretty fair, as the MAGAs like to say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Or, as they are more recently into, FAFO, fuck around and find out. Except you guys are not finding out. You guys are you guys are being bettered by immigrants who come in, pay taxes, uh, do jobs that either you don't want to do or are not smart enough to do, to be honest, okay? Benefit your economy, create increased production of goods, uh, increase services, um, improve the domestic or the national GDP. So it's like you guys fucked around and are continuing to reap the good benefits and are now just being like lathered up like the stupid sheep that you are into thinking that oh, all of these terrible things that are actually 100% the responsibility and the direct effects of the corrupt billionaire class are actually being brought about by immigrants. So, I mean, it is just ridiculous. Honestly, I think that that's pretty much all that I have on this immigration topic.
My final claim is that Donald Trump's plan for Gaza is ethnic cleansing.
Hi,
How are
Sarah.
you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You too. So why do you say this is Donald Trump's plan? Why do you think that?
I mean, he says it's his plan.
And that's pretty much all that really needs to be played about this last segment. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because I would just summarize this as, for the most part, I think that they're all pretty much in agreement um, with Mehdi on the fact that it is criminal to support Netanyahu's plan for ethnic cleansing. Uh, the argument is mostly centered around whether it is Trump's plan or if it's Netanyahu's plan. They go back and forth. Of course, is there any pause to say, okay, well, for moral consistency, if the very first prompt that we grappled with was whether or not Donald Trump aids and abets criminals, I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that he aids and abets Israel. And if they all are in agreement that what is going on with ethnic cleansing, whether that is Trump's idea or not, doesn't really make much of a difference. At the end of the day, he is supporting it. He is culpable and partially responsible for it, if not completely responsible for it. But I'm not going to go into parsing the proportion of responsibility. They are all pretty much equally responsible. Of course, at the head of them, Netanyahu, but a lot of people make the argument that the tail doesn't wag the dog, and there is no denying that Israel is the tail. Sometimes it's the tail, sometimes it's the dog. I don't really know, but I don't think that it's really much of a difference to distinguish between the two. And I think it's sufficient enough to summarize this entire segment as saying that they are all, for the most part, in the camp of MAGA isolationism, disentanglement from foreign wars, no more forever wars. But they're all, of course, glazing Trump and saying, "Oh no, he would never. He doesn't. He's not the one. He's the poor victim of Netanyahu and all of that stuff." And the odd thing is, actually, I could go forward, but honestly, you guys can just look this up yourselves. I think she does, or somebody else kind of starts mentioning that, oh, well, you know, if there's a group that's paying Trump to do this, then is it really Trump's fault or is it their fault? Uh, you know, who are we doing this at the behest of? Without specifically mentioning basically the Israel lobby. And for some reason, Mehdi Hasan, maybe I'm misinterpreting this point or his reaction, but it seemed to me like his reaction was like, "Ooh, that sounds like anti-Semitism. We can't say that. You're not allowed to say that they're underhanded, covert, secret interests that fuel our um, foreign policy. That's anti-Semitic to say, which is really odd." But I could be misunderstanding. In any case, that's pretty much all that I have for this video. Pretty simple reaction of what I'm thinking is going on here, which is absolutely fucking crazy. But yeah, these kids out here wilding. In any case, like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever to this video, or don't. I could give a fuck.